Hello, I'm Mr. Unwin from the Science Department. I'm going to be running through with you the Year 11 Science GCSE. So what's in store this year in terms of upcoming assessments, how to revise, how we expect students to structure their revision and their independent work outside of the classroom, and also what support you can give them to help them through this last year of Science GCSE. Okay, so first of all, just a quick reminder about the course structure. We do two GCSE courses here at Penistone, so the combined science, or what's referred to as the trilogy science course, and the separate science course. They vary slightly in terms of the examination length and some of the content, and I'll just quickly run through those now. So for the combined science, obviously at the end of the course, the students are going to be awarded two GCSE grades, so that's a combined grade. So all the marks from the biology, chemistry and physics exams will be combined to give those two GCSEs. There's 6 exams in total, so students will do a paper 1 in biology and a paper 2, and obviously the same in chemistry and physics as well. And they'll continue with their current rotation system, so they'll be doing a series of biology lessons followed by a series of chemistry lessons, each of those having a short-term assessment. Separate science follows a very similar pattern, so a rotation system again. The difference is here that there's 3 GCSEs being awarded, and therefore the exams are slightly longer. There's more content to be assessed in there, so they're 1 hour and 45 minutes, but again there's a paper 1 for biology and a paper 2 for biology, and the same for the other subjects there for chemistry and physics. Here are the 2 grading scales for Science GCSE. On the left is the trilogy or combined science, and again the marks from all the science exams that are done in the trilogy combined science award are all put together and give 2 GCSEs, and the grades are together, as you can see there. So a student will receive, for example, a 7-6 or a 6-6, so they'll receive one of the grades on this 17-point scale. For separate science, it differs slightly. They're doing 3 separate GCSEs, so there's a single grade awarded from that grading scale, so 1 to 9 for each of the separate science subjects. So for example, a student could get in biology a grade 6, a grade 7 in physics and a grade 6 in chemistry. So they get 3 separate GCSE grades. So the assessment structure for GCSE science is shown below, has 4 main components, so I'll just quickly run through. Each of these assessments is mapped out on students' learner pathways, which are in the front of their books, and there's space for them to record how well they've done in these assessments. So their home learnings, the required practicals, the end of topic tests and practice exams, they should record this information in their learner pathways, so they've got a record and they can keep track of what bits they're strong on, so what parts of the curriculum, what topic areas they're particularly good at, and which areas they need to improve. And I'm going to talk about the learner pathways on the next slide. But just first of all, just going through each of these assessments, home learning is that short-term consolidating what's going on in the classroom, the learning that's taking place in the classroom. Really important that students put the time and effort into doing this. It's good exposure to past paper questions and help students develop an understanding of what examiners are looking for, what are the key things that they need to take away from what they've been learning in lessons, and how to express that, how to put that down in an exam paper, which is a really important skill. And the practice and development of that skill starts with home learning, so it really needs time and effort spending on. So 40 marks, each home learning, 3 per rotation, so that's approximately a homework every week. That's 40 marks, so 1 hour spent on that, looking in notes, asking questions of their teacher, looking in revision guides to help them do their very best on those questions. Students in Year 11 will also be getting recap home learning as well, so that goes over the work that was done last year in Year 10. Really important this year that students spend time doing that. It's been a long time, or it feels a long time, since we did Year 10 because of the situation this year, and these recap home learnings are essential to get students up to speed, to give them confidence with the work that we studied last year. So really important they're done to the best of students' abilities. Required practicals, they take place as we go through the course. There's a set of required practicals for chemistry, physics and biology. They're determined by the exam board and they're assessed through the final exam that students have understood these practicals and understand the key things from each practical. So it's a way of assessing students' practical skills. Students will do the practical and they'll do a short test. Again, these are using exam questions from previous years, so students get a real feel for what the important things are in those required practicals, what important skills they need to take away from those. There's revision videos and quizzes on our Frog site, so students can review the practical. When they come to revise, they can actually see it being done, and then they can do some quick check questions on it as well, multiple choice quizzes, so that the recall of the key facts is there. Thirdly, it's the end of topic tests. So these happen after every rotation, so every biology topic that we complete, every chemistry topic, every physics topic, we do an end of topic test. It's a short-term assessment done in exam conditions in the classroom. It's teacher marked. Teachers give feedback to students on how they've done in that topic, so students know what they need to work on, which bits they're strong on, and it really helps them to organise their revision. Again, the learner pathways should be used as a tool to help students understand how well they're doing and which bits they need to focus on, which bits are the important bits that they need to do a little bit more work on. And the end of topic tests are really important in forming that for each student. And finally, it's practice exams. So this is where it's time to pull it all together. All these topics that we've been doing, the home learning, the required practicals, these long-term assessments are going to take place this year in Year 11. There's 2 papers for each of the subjects. So there's a paper 1 and paper 2 in biology and chemistry and physics. We're going to start off with paper 1 in week 9. So that's week beginning the 2nd November. So that's the date for the diaries. We need to be working towards that now. So not starting revision in week 8. We need to be using our learner pathways, find out our exercise books, and we're stressing this to students now in lessons that over the next few weeks they need to be starting to think about revision and revision techniques. Now, we've been showing students how to revise, going through revision skills and the sort of revision cycle that they should follow. Now it's time to really put these things into practice, pull those revision materials together and get ready for a practice exam. So this is to simulate what's going to happen in the summer, so we prepare for it as it is a summer exam. So it's important that revision is taken seriously, learner pathways are used, revision materials are produced, practice questions are done. I'm going to talk on the next few slides about learner pathways and revision and what we can do to support students outside the classroom. But it's really important that this is on the radar now and students are working hard towards it, particularly with this year group that's just finished their GCSE, who didn't in the end get to sit their final exams. These practice exams formed an important part of their centre assessed grades. So I can't stress how important it is with the current climate and the uncertainty around exams next summer that students really put the maximum effort into these practice exams, really use the support of their teachers, the work that they've got in their books, their revision guides, using our online support, and are really thinking seriously about doing the best they can in these practice exams. So on the next slide, I'll talk about the learner pathways in revision. So here is an example of a learner pathway that I've just been talking about. This is one that students will need to be looking at for their paper 1 exam. So as you can see on here, it clearly says paper 1 exam, 1 hour 15 minutes at the top there, and it says which topics will be assessed in paper 1. Each learner pathway that a student has this information on it. So it should be really clear what they need to revise, because when they look down at their learner pathway, as you can see this biology example, their B1 cell biology, all this content here on the first 2 blocks, so B1.1, B1.2 and 1.3 there, that is all assessed on paper 1. So in their biology paper 1 practice exam in week 9, so week beginning the 2nd of November, this material will be assessed in that examination. On the right hand side, also forming part of this learner pathway, you can see that there is 4.2 there, B4.2 respiration. Again in brackets it says paper 1, so this material is also assessed on paper 1. So really important that students can organise themselves, use their learner pathways, which is something we ask students to do regularly. It's all in the front of their books, and it's a really clear indication of what work has been done, what's going to be assessed on each paper, and is really important now moving into Year 11 when we get into practice exams. So a really useful resource, should be used alongside revision, preparation of revision notes, and when it comes to revision, finding out areas where students need to improve, this is a key document to help with that. Okay, so using the learner pathways that we've just been discussing, course books, exercise books, revision guides, students should be in a position where they're able to revise effectively for their final exams at the end of Year 11. Now that doesn't just happen, it's something that needs to be worked on, practice needs to take place, revision is a skill. So with any skill, practice, understanding the best way to do it for yourself is really, really important in being effective and being confident when you go into those exams at the end of Year 11. So Throughout GCSE, we've been asking students to revise in a very specific way, simple but effective. So 3 steps: create the revision material, so use the resources that's available to them, so the online resources, support that's on Frog, exercise books, revision guides, and the training that we've been giving students throughout GCSE, so how to make revision materials like flashcards and mind maps. There's a whole host of things, and these are laid out in the learner pathways that students have in the front of their books as well, so they can look there for some ideas on how to revise. Once they've found the best way to create revision material for themselves, the next step is then practice questions. So checking understanding is absolutely fundamental. So students really need to produce revision materials, not just read through notes, actually have some physical revision materials, condensed notes, and then test that they've understood that work. So the learning has hopefully taken place throughout the year, through class tasks, through home learning tasks, and then this revision is just revisiting that stuff and highlighting areas that a student is strong and areas that they need to improve. So the practice questions are really key in doing that, because not until you answer those questions and try and answer those questions do you really know whether you can recall those facts or you truly understand something. So really important. The third step then, right, what do I need to improve? And then going back to the start of the cycle and then creating some extra revision materials or adapting revision materials and doing some more practice questions on those areas that you find challenging. And that's a really effective way to revise. So finally, just to run through the revision guides that are available and why we think revision guides are important. So these are available from the school shop. They're the CGP revision guides. Obviously you can get them from other places as well, but we do have these in stock, and the relevant ones for the GCSE course that we do here at Penistone, which is AQA GCSE. The revision guides really supplement exercise books, so they help to condense notes, really clarify the key points from the learning that's been taking place in science over the 2 years. And as I said, there's a huge amount of material to cover, so this helps to put it all in one place, puts it in a logical sequence. It's really easy to find the relevant bit, and also workbooks that go alongside them will have questions specifically on a certain topic. So those practice questions that I mentioned after we've made the revision resources, well, these practice workbooks are a really easy way of doing that. They're organised, they're in a logical sequence, so you can just pick up a particular topic, revise that topic, do the practice questions, check your answers, and it's all there in the revision guides. Really useful resource, highly recommend getting them. CGP ones are really good. And that brings me on to just support at home, really. It's the things that we can do to support students when they're not in lessons, is giving them access to these resources, so revision guides, making sure their exercise books are all together and organised and their learner pathways are there, helping them to have a nice space to revise, so somewhere quiet where they can organise their work and sit and focus for a good 30-45 minutes on a specific section of work, do the practice questions, and then help with that review of those practice questions. So sometimes doing some quick check questions with students at home, asking them about the work that they've been revising, just checking their understanding when you're going through the practice workbooks, maybe with them looking at some of the answers or marking it for them, giving them a little bit of feedback based on the mark scheme in the book, really helps students when they're revising at home and doing independent learning. Helps with motivation to have someone else helping them out as well with the revision. There's lots more information on how to revise and lots of support resources on our Frog site as well. So access to devices at home would really help with that. So access to tablets or PCs, mobile phones as well, allow students to access the Frog Play quizzes and the learning support documents that we have, or revision documents on our Frog site as well. So just some simple things there to help students at home to prepare for their GCSEs. I hope that's been useful. It's quite a bit of information there. It's going to be a fairly challenging year for students, obviously getting ready for their GCSE exams, but we wish them all the best. There's lots of support available in school and for students to access out of school. If you have any questions, please contact the science department, and we'll try and help out wherever we can. So good luck, all the best with it. Hope that's been useful. Take care.